Hey guys, it's Victoria. Today I'm going to read a little bit more from Amy Vanderbilt's Everyday Etiquette. I decided that there's a chapter on social graces, and I kind of wanted to read a little bit of that because, again, it's things that are still relevant that we may not do or may not know to do, um, that, again, might be helpful to someone. So, here I go. So the social graces, this is the section on table manners. It says, first question, who is served first at table and when is the proper time to begin eating? FGP, Garden City, New York. The hostess is not served first unless she is the only lady at the table or is alone with her husband and children. If grandmother or even a young girl guest is present, the dishes are first presented to her after inspection by the hostess. When the hostess is serving from in front of her place, with or without the aid of a servant, she is served next to last and her husband last. For her to serve herself earlier will mean her food will be cold and her filled plate in the way. After several people have been served, guests begin eating so their food will not be cold, and except at breakfast, the polite husband waits until his wife has been served before beginning to eat. See, I think that's great advice. I generally, if I have anyone over for dinner, I've always served them first and then started eating. I don't necessarily believe it to be polite for other people to like if you're a host and you just like serve yourself, if it's like buffet style, everybody get what they want. I always wait to eat when other people start eating, if we do it that way, or I serve my guests first and then we start eating all together. So that's actually very relevant advice for me because I've always wondered, if I have a large party of people, do we do pass along style? And it sounds like that's kind of what it is. You like serve the guests, here's a plate, here's a plate, here's a plate, or even like kind of pass along. In some older movies, I've kind of seen the honors delegated to other people. So, meaning that if the hostess is too far away from other guests, she delegates someone to do the honors and start serving themselves or serving others. So I think that's also it's also helpful. They do mention that a few times in here, actually, is the assisting, like having a person, if you don't have a servant, having a person that you can delegate responsibilities to help you clear the service away, or that can help you pass about service. So that's really lovely. Next question. Is it considered bad manners to take anything to drink to your lips while there is still food in your mouth? Ooh, BCJ from Denver, Colorado asks this question. Miss Vanderbilt replies, yes, because this may leave particles of food in the beverage or leave an unattractive smear on the glass. Your mouth should be empty before you take anything to drink. Certainly you should avoid the effect of washing down food that is already in your mouth. It is amazing how many people are guilty of this breach of etiquette. Again, I was raised different. I do drink while I eat because I'm no longer a child and I don't save my glass for the end. But I do agree that it does look a little suspicious if you are drinking with a full mouth. Definitely finish before you decide to, like, how awkward does it look, somebody who's like trying to drink back a glass of water or whatever. This is very, very good, very pertinent advice. This next question is one that I personally didn't know and am still, like, if somebody does this, I don't know if anybody watches this, Again, this is for me. I thought that people would enjoy it. Who knows? I feel like somebody would. I certainly would. So if you are watching this and you hear this question and you know something about it, please mention it, because again, I'll say it, but you tell me. I was confused. I was not aware that people do this, but the question reads, which is correct, the American way of holding the fork in the right hand or the continental custom of holding it in the left? Sent in from MFP, St. Louis, Missouri. So, Miss Vanderbilt answers, either is correct, but a combination of the two systems is now often seen and is quite acceptable. Even when one uses the American zigzag method, it is sensible to convey cut food to the mouth with the fork in the left hand, with the tines of the fork down. Also, in eating a bit of bread and gravy, by impaling the bread on the fork in either hand, tines down, and sopping up the gravy, it is now usual to convey the bit to the mouth with the fork tines down rather than up. So, I don't know if anybody does this, but I eat with my right hand. When I cut things, I cut fork tines down, fork in the right hand, knife in the left hand, and then I always take things to my right hand. I do know that some people switch it, and that's kind of what they're talking about here, but I wasn't aware that it was a thing, and I'm assuming that this is just what people have been taught, or what they've noticed their parents do. Because the only reason I cut my steak like that, I used to cut my steak, and I'll have to, it's like fork in one hand, knife in the other, and like down like that instead of down like this. I've never seen, like, I've never noticed. I shouldn't say I've never seen. I've seen people like do their left hand, but I usually assumed that they were left-handed, not that it was a continental style. But isn't that funny that it's these little things that I never knew was a specific style of doing something, and now I'm reading this and I'm like, wait, that's an actual thing. People people are people were raised doing it the continental way and probably don't know that it's the continental way, because I certainly didn't know that right hand eating your food was the American way. So, fun facts all around. I think last two questions. So, how do you get stray bits of food on a plate onto your fork? From OL in Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Vanderbilt replies, a combination of European and American style eating is very usual among sophisticated people and makes it easy for a diner to retrieve skitty bits of food, like peas, on his plate by using his knife in his left hand as a pusher. But the completely American system is to use a bit of bread as a pusher. One never uses the fingers for this purpose. So informal. That is so funny. Use bread when you can't reach the peas or any other stray items. That's funny. I think most of us now, like I'm guilty of this. I will either use a spoon and like hockey it up onto the spoon with a knife, or I just use my fingers. It's uncouth, I know, but I don't care. Last question. Please tell me if it is permissible to dunk donuts, cookies, etc., either at home or elsewhere. Submitted by OEC from Wichita Falls, Texas. That's a very good question. Dunking donuts or cookies, eating chicken, pie, and other things with your fingers depends very much on the circumstances. If you are having coffee with a friend in the kitchen, dunk if you wish. If donuts or cookies are served at a tea, you would be uncomfortable doing so, I am sure. So many of these things depends on good sense and appropriateness. As a general rule, I would say don't dunk publicly except under very informal circumstances. And if you dunk, break the donut or cookie in half, just as you would break your bread, rather than bite into the whole slice. My, how times have changed. I am a dunker of cookies, a dunker of donuts. I do break my donuts, but I don't break my cookies, because where is the satisfaction in breaking an Oreo? Actually, new etiquette rule. Put it on a fork, insert it into the filling portion, and then twist it on the fork in the milk until it gets soggy, and then pull it up and eat it whole. That would be the better way for that type of cookie. But I'm a dunker of these things. And at a tea, it is very rare that we have, I do have tea cookies sometimes. I have by myself dunked tea cookies into tea, and it is not pleasant. Like, I don't enjoy it. So that was a harsh lesson learned. A wasted cookie and a wasted tea. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you're at a tea, I would say definitely save the dunking for when you're at home, or just don't do it at all, because quite frankly, tea cookies in tea are gross. Tea cookies with tea, rather delicious, but in tea, it's not pleasant. But anyways, I, again, digress. I hope that you enjoyed this reading of Amy Vanderbilt's Everyday Etiquette. I really enjoy this book. I am already up to, I just last night reached the section on funerals. That's where I stopped, because it is never good to go to bed on a somber subject. So, I left it at that. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, you can tell me so. I will probably read a little bit more from this next Founder Friday, so look forward to that. Have a wonderful day. Remember that it is always a good day to have a good day, and yeah, see you next time.